especially since, seeing that everybody in his team is on steroids, which means including him. So he never...
Some way responsible for the performance-enhancing drugs that are being used by fighters that fought in his gym. Specifically, off the top of my head, you have Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez had popped for clenbuterol.
And Canelo, man, I don't know if he's cheating.
What do you mean?
I feel like Canelo juices.
The upcoming bout between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford is one of the most discussed matchups in recent boxing history, but not solely for the athletic competition it promises. The conversation surrounding the event has taken a darker turn, dominated by suspicions of performance-enhancing drug PED usage, particularly focusing on Canelo Alvarez and his longtime trainer, Eddie Reynoso.
Mexican boxing fights of all time, in my opinion. Yeah. So I feel like I'm 100% confident in myself. If Canelo was 100% confident in himself, I don't know why he wouldn't fight me, especially since, seeing that everybody in his team is on steroids, which means including him. So he never got off steroids.
You think he's on steroids?
Of course. Sure. How does five?
You saw De La Hoya
How do five people out of your camp get tested positive for steroids? Right. You know what I mean? No, all those fucking dudes in that camp are dirty.
I seen Eddie Reynoso on my fight, so we made a joke. He said like he came to watch me the fight and shit. And then they're like, "Oh, you think he's?" In my head, I'm like, "What do you think Eddie Reynoso's thinking about?" He's like, "Are we gonna fight David Benavidez after seeing this fight?" In his head, Eddie Reynoso was like, "Fuck no, we not fighting him."
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, honestly, I don't blame Canelo. It's fucked up because there's a lot of money.
It's not even about the money. It's not about the money.
Yeah, but okay,
100 million, dude. You kidding me?
The first step when you're a fucking warrior, bro, the only thing you think about is glory. I've never thought about money. I've been smart. I'm negotiating my shit. But it's always a prize, bro. It's always, if I go out there and beat Canelo, bro, I'm a legend. You know what I mean? That I'm gonna live forever in boxing as a legend. That means way more to me than any type of money.
And I think that separates you too, David. And I admire that shit about you. I was like that at one point. Now like, how much you give me?
Yeah.
and not to just bypass him. Shout out to Morel as well.
Yeah, shout out to Morel.
Several fighters associated with Reynoso's gym, including Oscar Valdez and Canelo himself, have tested positive for banned substances in the past, prompting an avalanche of scrutiny. These incidents aren't viewed in isolation. They form a pattern that observers, critics, and even fellow fighters believe points to a deeper issue within the camp's environment. The implication is not just about one fighter gaining an edge, but a systemic problem that potentially compromises the sport's integrity. When Canelo Alvarez first rose to prominence, he was seen as a highly skilled, agile welterweight. Over the years, however, his physical evolution has become as notable as his in-ring success. Once lean and swift, he is now a bulked-up powerhouse, capable of overpowering naturally larger opponents.
For a 30-year-old, right? You remember, your body grows. Men's body can grow in height and length up until to the extreme in your 20s. By the time you're 20, your height and all that stuff is there, right? Your height and your length. In your mid-20s, by the time you're 29, your musculature is pretty much there. It gets harder to gain and put on muscle after 30. So Canelo Alvarez is about to fight a guy that is gonna put on 20 pounds of muscle. Serious accusations about his gym. And the accusations are that or at least the implications are, that he is the one that is providing performance-enhancing drugs or is in some way responsible for the performance-enhancing drugs that are being used by fighters that fought in his gym. Specifically, off the top of my head, you have Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez had popped for clenbuterol 2 times. For Fahim Satur, I'll say that he did it 2 times, even though I think it was for the same fight. But Canelo Alvarez popped dirty for clenbuterol 2 times. You have Luis Nery, who had tested positive, but I think Luis Nery tested positive before he was with Eddie Reynoso. Then you have Ryan Garcia, who popped dirty after he left Eddie Reynoso and went over to Derek James. And then you have Oscar Valdez. Oscar Valdez popped dirty while he was with Eddie Reynoso, but at the time he was still allowed to fight. You also clearly see that you have an issue with the fight that's coming up with Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, in that you have one guy that tested positive and you have another guy that looks like he's using in order to get up and continue to climb up weight classes. You know, at a certain point in time, and this is something that Rolly Romero has said, certain point in time your body just doesn't do that. At a certain point in time, your body just doesn't do it. I'm 6'2", 200, and should weigh about 210. Closer to 250, but I should weigh about 210. I'm not gonna get up. If I was 210 now at 50 years old, I'm not at 55 years old. I'm not. The only way I'm going to get up to 260.
While some attribute this transformation to elite training methods, diet, and discipline, many experts question whether such gains can be made naturally, especially in one's 30s when muscle growth is scientifically harder to sustain without assistance. Joe Rogan, known for his deep engagement in sports science and MMA commentary, was among the first high-profile voices to highlight this anomaly. According to him, the laws of physiology don't support the kind of transformation Canelo has undergone without pharmacological aid.
Hello, man. I don't know if he's cheating.
What do you mean?
I feel like Canelo juices. But I'm a Triple G fan, so I'm a say that ahead of time. I just like Triple G.
There's a lot of money on the line, and if I could get away with it, I would do it as well.
Some tainted beefs.
I think, well, he definitely got busted once for something, but it could have been from tainted beef. We don't know. But it also could be that, we should probably leave them alone and let them do whatever they want to do. Do you want to see Manny Pacquiao fight or not? Right? I want to see him juiced up, fighting at 45 years of age, coming in with a full six-pack, lighting people on fire.
Floyd Mayweather has never shied away from criticizing what he perceives as double standards in boxing. He has publicly accused Canelo of benefiting from a level of protection that shields him from the same criticism other fighters face. Mayweather believes the industry is reluctant to challenge Canelo because of his commercial value, effectively allowing him to operate with impunity. These accusations gained more traction when 5 fighters from Reynoso's gym reportedly failed drug tests, with Canelo's own positive test for clenbuterol 7 years ago being the most high-profile case.
What we don't talk about is, Canelo. Steroids. Y'all don't talk about that. So we don't know. We really don't know all the fighters he beat. He could have been not clean enough.
Although Canelo attributed his failed test to contaminated meat, the repetition of similar incidents within the same gym raised doubts that extended beyond excuses. David Benavidez, a top contender, has also been vocal about his doubts. He openly questions why Canelo avoids facing him if he is truly confident in his abilities. To Benavidez, the answer lies in fear, specifically fear that a clean fight would expose vulnerability.
Canelo and Crawford are strictly and consistently doing random VADA testing in order to silence each other's fanbase and their critics ahead of their showdown this September. Now, despite this being a normal thing, the gravity of this fight brings in more attention to their test results, partly due to the fact that suspicion regarding both men have been up as of lately, namely Crawford's sudden bulk and jump to 168 and his close relationship with Snack and Victor Conti, and of course the recent PED scandals being associated with Team Canelo, as well as him once testing positive for clenbuterol 7 years ago due to contaminated meat. With that said, both men have been doing random testing since June and will undergo strict and consistent random tests up until they finally meet next month. Now, it's worth remembering that despite all the recent allegations for Canelo and Crawford, both fighters have been consistent.
His accusations carry emotional weight because they come from an active fighter who understands what is at stake. Benavidez points out that while he's always prioritized glory and legacy, others may be prioritizing legacy at any cost, including through illicit means. His remarks draw a stark contrast between fighters who rely on grit and skill versus those suspected of gaining unfair advantages through chemical enhancement. The fans have not remained silent in this debate either.
I lean more towards Canelo because, like I said before, he been putting big guys out and down, and Canelo not even really a 68 pounder. He probably really should be at 60 maybe, and he been hurting these guys. I think he be dropping these guys and things like that. So, and them guys be way bigger than him come fight night. I know that for sure. They be probably close to 200 pounds, and he dropping those guys like that. So, I don't know. It's gonna be a great fight. The fans want to see it. So, so be it. I think Crawford should take a warm-up fight. At like 60 or like at least at 60, just to get his body, to fill into somebody a little bit bigger, and things like that. I know when you go up in weight, you gotta, develop that power and not develop the power, but like put that muscle on and be heavier and things like that. So he might not want to take a fight because he's trying to build up right now. But I think he should just to stay sharp and That way he don't have like a long layoff or anything.
Canelo before Canelo's last fight, but then after Canelo's last fight, it seems like it's more 50-50 now. So everything is just the build up for that fight is just going to be absolutely magnetizing. Like that fight, it's garnered so much more buzz after Canelo's last fight, and Bud is Bud. He's one of the greatest fighters in boxing history. He is one of the greatest fighters in boxing history. So it's going to be a fight. It's going to be awesome to watch.
Have you sparred any of them?
I haven't sparred Bud yet. I haven't been in Canelo's camp. I've met Canelo a few times. I love Canelo's team. Canelo's one of my favorite fighters. He's been my favorite fighter for the longest time. But I have to be Team Bud because me and Bud are cool, and I have so much belief in Bud, and I know who he is as a fighter. He is one of the greats. So he could do anything he wants.
And being around both of them and seeing how they work and train and things like that, what makes both of them the fighters they are, in your opinion?
I've watched Bud, so for Bud in particular, he's calm in everything he does, and that kind of calm is scary to watch because it shows experience. You can see that he's been doing this for decades. You can see it with his shadow boxing. You can see it.